Hi everyone. Okay, let's recap. Just because this one is a little bit different. We're trying to figure out what the fair market value is or the present value, but it actually has a future value as well. It has $1,000 sitting as a future value for our calculation. Okay, so if we have a look here, we can see $50 is the payment. We can see that it's at the end of every 6 months for 17 years. And again, the $1,000, but there will be the final payment of $50 as well. And what is the fair market value of the investment if the prevailing rate of return or interest rate is 8.5, and that is semi-annual, so it matches the payments of every 6 months, and then the compounding is every 6 months. Okay, so let's have a look. Give it a try on your own before you have a look at the answer, okay? So again, there is the actual calculation if you want to use the formula with the answer, but we're going to be able to figure it out using the financial functions of our calculator. So we know that the interest per year is 8.5, but we know that it's semi-annual, so we know even before it shows us that we have to go into the PY or hit second IY, okay, so that we can put in 2. So that's the number of times per year that it's being compounded and how often the payments are. So it is 2, enter, and then we have to come up again. Before we enter the N, we have to do the second and go to quit to bring us back up to the regular level. And then our N is 2, representing every 6 months, so semi-annual, so 2 times the 17 to give us a 34 for our N. We have payments of 50. We have the future value of 1,000. And then we are going to compute the present value, and that's going to give us a present value of 11, 33, and 61. And you can see that the present value is coming out as a negative because that's the money that we have to invest so that we can get the payment of $50 back every 6 months. And then at the end of the 17 years, we'll also get $1,000 back. So make sure you're able to do these calculations before moving on, okay? So the next thing that we're going to look at is a general annuity, okay? So we've been looking at the ordinary simple annuities, and now it's a general annuity. And what a general annuity, if you remember from the flow chart that we looked at earlier in the chapter, it means that the compounding frequency and the rate of payments don't match. So maybe it's compounded semi-annual, but the payments are made monthly, okay? So to solve a general annuity, the first thing we need to do is convert the given interest rate into a compounding frequency that matches the payment interval. Okay, so let's have a look. So Rob deposits $200 at the end of each month into a savings account and earns 6% compounded quarterly. How much will be in the account after 10 years? So as you can see here, he's depositing $200 at the end of each month. So the payment frequency is 12, but the compounding is only quarterly, so 4 times as opposed to 12 times a year. So let's have a look. Okay, so again, we're going to use the calculator, which makes it so much easier. So using the time value of money calculator to do the general annuity, what we're going to do is we need to set both the PY and the CY appropriately. So the PY, which we have been setting, and we've been keeping the two of these consistent. The PY represents the payments per year, and the CY represents the compounding frequency. So for example, for this one here, there's an extra step. So we've got the 6 IY, gives us our interest rate. And then we need to go into the second and then click the PY, okay? And then we're going to put in 12, enter. And then this is usually where we do second quit, but we're going to arrow down and we're going to put in 4, enter. So then our 12 is for the payments per year, and the 4 represented by the CY is for the compounding per year. So once you put those in, then we're going to hit the second quit to come back up to the regular level, and then we're going to do 120 for our N, right? Because the payments per year is 12 multiplied by 10 years. So that gives it the number of periods. We have 0 for our present value. We have to put our payment, because it's a payment going out. So he's depositing money. So he's taking it out of his regular bank account and putting it into a savings account. So that is a negative 200 as your payment. And then CPT, compute future value. And that is going to give us 32,723. So looking at it, okay, so what is this question actually asking us or telling us? So you're starting with 0. You want to save some money. So you or Rob deposits $200 at the end of each month into a savings account. Okay, maybe you're saving for retirement. Maybe you're saving for the down payment of a house. Maybe you're saving for a car, okay? But you're putting it into a savings, that's some kind of a savings, that's earning 6% compounded quarterly, okay? How much will be in the account after 10 years? So that is what we're trying to figure out. So at the end of 10 years, using 6% compounded quarterly, but we're putting 200 in to an account monthly. After 10 years, we're going to have $32,723. So again, make sure you're able to do this calculation and that you understand where you go second, PY, because PY is the first one you'll come to. It'll show right on your screen. Then you put 12, enter, just like we've been doing all along. But then you arrow down, and then by arrowing down, that's going to take you to the CY. And it's going to show 12 because it automatically puts the CY exactly to what the PY is. But this is where we need to change it. Change it to 4 and then enter. Then we need to come out of that level by second quit. Okay? And then that's when you put the rest of your information in. So again, let me know if you have any questions about that. Okay. Okay, so let's have a look at this one. We want to figure out the fair market value of a preferred share. Okay, so a share of Dominion Trust Company, so if we own a share, they will pay us 75 cents per share dividend at the end of every calendar quarter, so 4 times a year, until they are redeemed in 8.5 years, okay? On the redemption date, so the day that they're due to us, the shareholder will also receive $40 par value of each share in addition to the last regular dividend. So they're just throwing in extra corporation words. Okay, so it's the exact same thing as what we've been doing. The payment is 75 cents quarterly for every share that we have. We're pretending we only have one. It's due in 8.5 years. not only will we receive 75 cents every quarter as well as when it's redeemable, we're also going to get the par value of the share, or $40. So that's like a question that we did a couple of questions ago, where in the end the future value was 1,000. So in this case, the future value, instead of being 0, is $40. So what is the fair market value of a share if the preferred share of similar risk are currently generating a total rate of return of 6.5% compounded semi-annual? So again, all it's given us there in that long-winded sentence is what our interest rate is, and it's 6.5 compounded semi-annually. So that's why sometimes it's so much easier if you write out the information that they're giving us instead of getting lost in the words. So for example, we know the payment is 75 cents. We know that our IY, because we're not doing it using the formula, so we don't need to figure J divided by M. We know that our interest rate is 6.5. We know that our N is how many times a year are we getting payments? 4 times a year, because it's quarterly, times 8.5 years. So our N equals 34. And we know that our future value is 40. So if you put that all in your calculator, okay, you will get the same answer as what it's given you here, that the fair market value is $42.74. So what we're going to do is, if we look at our calculator, okay, so we want to make sure that we clear our work. So if you hit second and then the CE, that's going to clear all your work, and then clear again. So now you've got 0 in there. So we're going to put 0.75, walk through it with me, okay? It's PMT. We have 40 FV. We have 6.5 IY. We have 34N. Now we need to do the PY and the CY. So we're going to do second IY. So that's bringing us to the PY. So PY, payments per year. How many times are we getting paid per year? 4. So we want 4, enter. Then we arrow down. And as you can see, it's now on your screen saying CY equals 4. Because again, it automatically changes the CY to match the PY. But we know that our interest rate is being compounded semi-annual. So we need 2, enter, so that our CY is now showing 2. If you want to, you can arrow up and see that your PY is 4. Arrow down, you can see your CY is 2. So we want to go second, quit, to come back up to our regular level. And then we want compute, and we're computing our present value. And our present value is working out to $42.74. Okay, give that a try to make sure you can use your calculator to figure that out and understand how the PY and the CY work. Okay, let me know if you have any questions. Thanks, everyone.